This is the Fearless Agent Podcast, where you learn how to make way more money fast selling real estate with your host, the Fearless Agent himself, Bob Loeffler.
And good day to you. This is Bob here at the Fearless Agent Podcast for real estate sales professionals like you, where we explain that every single thing you've been taught by the entire real estate industry is wrong, and you will make lots more money in way less time by doing the exact opposite. So today's topic, I guess, is going to be commitment. Okay, you know, there's an old saying that commitment is like a ham and eggs breakfast. The chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. You know what I mean? So many years ago, I was 20 years ago. That was 40 years ago when I was 20, just to be exact. And so I worked the graveyard shift at a gas station, mobile gas station, and the guy across the street, he worked at the 7-Eleven. So this is one of these dead-end jobs that was the hallmark of my career. This is before I got into real estate. So I was over there talking to him, and he had this motorcycle. And I said, so you ride a motorcycle, is that the deal? He goes, yeah. I said, what kind is it? And he looks at me like I'm crazy. He goes, well, it's a Harley. I said, what's that? And he goes, yeah, you wouldn't understand. I said, hey, can I ride it? He goes, no, that would not be a good idea. I said, come on. I tell him I'm a daredevil. You don't need to worry. So I talk him into it, and because I had sales skills even then. So I get on it, straight pipes, crank it up, Harley Sportster. At 3 a.m., I'm driving down Indian School Road doing 110 miles an hour. I come back, put the kickstand down. I said, I am buying one of these. So the next day, I go to lunch with my best friend, Jeff Guy, and I said, hey, here's the plan. You and I are going to buy matching black Harley-Davidson Sportsters, and we're going to ride across America, go to all four borders of America. What do you think? He said, I'm in. Let's do it. Just like that, no arguing. Now, this is back in the days when only greaseball losers had Harleys. There were no yuppie bikers or any of that kind of stuff. So Jimmy Carter is president. There's gas lines around the block. The economy is in a shambles, and we end up saving. All we talk about every day when we would go to lunch at La Fonda Mexican food, every day we talk about our trip. It's how we're going to do it, planning it out. So we end up buying, 1 year later, we're buying matching black Harley-Davidson Sportsters. And, I wrecked mine on the very first day. I forgot that part. Had massive knee surgery, spent a whole year on crutches, so that's the fun part. But we still talk about it, so we're making the trip. So 1 year later, we're riding off into the sunrise, and we go to all four borders of America over a month-long trip. We had to quit our jobs to do it. The idea was we're in. We're burning the boats in the harbor. We're not doing something else. So this real estate thing that you guys do, I would recommend that you do it like that. This is what we're going to do. So most people that are failing or earning way less than their potential in real estate, it's because they're multitasking. I'm not all in. I'm not doing real estate. I'm doing real estate and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I recommend that we get committed. So here's the things that I would have you keep track of. And if you keep track of your numbers and you know your numbers, I think you're going to be better off. So I would create a little form. All my coaching students have access to this. But the date that you schedule a listing appointment, I want you to keep track of that, like today. Let's say I schedule a listing appointment today. Or I attend a listing. Well, I'm just going to give you the categories. So today's date, the date we did it, listing appointments scheduled, listing appointments attended, listings taken, sales made, listings of mine that sold. In other words, they went under contract. Sales made means a buyer that I'm working with went under contract. listing of mine went under contract, so listings sold, and closings. And then the name of the property, and then the list price, the sales price, the listing sold price, and then the closing price. So at most, you would keep track of those things and the hours which you spend prospecting. And then if you keep track of this for a long period of time, like a year, at the end of the year, you're going to know the dollars per hour that you earn. We're going to take a short break. Watch this. I'm going to lean over and get my coffee, which is setting way, way too far away. Folgers, by the way. Is that our sponsor, Folgers? I think it actually came out of one of them Keurig machines. Lovely. Nothing like a lovely beverage. So if I keep track of those numbers, which I did for years and years and years in real estate, then I can look at this weekly report, let's say. So each week I know how many listing appointments I scheduled, how many listing appointments I attended, how many listings I took, how many sales I made to a buyer, how many listings of mine that sold, and how many closings, and then the dollar amounts. So maybe at the end of the year, I can look at this and say, I'm doing better with this type of seller or that type of seller. I'm weak at this. I'm strong at this. Maybe I should, instead of trying to get mediocre at my weaknesses, maybe I should just focus on my strengths. And that usually is a better way to go. So here's the absolute minimum that I would recommend that all my Fearless Agent coaching students keep track of. The one number I want you to know is the number of full hours of telephone prospecting that you do. And again, most of my coaching students want to focus on sellers only, but those who focus on buyers only, maybe you would keep track of the number of, I would do an open house strategy, so you could keep track of the number of open house hours that you do. But listing appointments scheduled, so hours prospecting, full hours, listing appointments scheduled, listing appointments attended, and the listings taken. And then each week, just kind of rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on your commitment to time management and prospecting focus. So here's your commitment to time management. If you can, not everybody can. Some people have kids. I had one. And then my daughter, one time I said, hey, did you know, my daughter's name is Megan, by the way. I said, she's 23 now. But I said, did you know that you were adopted? She goes, no, I wasn't. I said, yes, it's true. They brought you back. But anyway, this is just about me. So, but rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of time management, prospecting focus. If you've got kids or another job or some like I have a volunteer job or two that I do, if that gets in the way of this, that's one thing. But if you can always go to lunch at noon, like the rest of the world, your life gets easier. If you can always have dinner at 5, then that allows you to do 2 listing appointments in a day, and that doubles your income for the year. So at the minimum, we're going to keep track, if we're Fearless Agent coaching students, of those numbers. And if you want to keep track, again, of the listings appointments scheduled, listing appointments attended, listings taken, sales made, listings that of mine that sold, closings, and the prices associated with all those. That's even better, but at a minimum, do that. I want to talk about success. There's 4 ingredients to success that all Fearless Agents know. Number 1 is knowledge. Number 2, if you're writing these down, goal. Number 3 is accountability. And number 4 is the basics, okay? So on the topic of knowledge, there's certain things that we all should know. One is that listings are the name of the game. So think about it this way. Let's say, you live in a zip. How many of you, show of hands, live within a zip code? Okay, or know somebody that lives within a zip code. Imagine that you had, let's say I had all the listings in that zip code. And then we're going to guess how many of the sales within that same zip code would I participate in? Oh, 100%. That's right, because I have all the listings. Now, if I had all the listings in that zip code, it wouldn't matter if I was out of town, if I was sick, somebody would handle the business for me while I'm out of town. But I would participate in all of those sales. And this is an inventory business. So if you're new in real estate, I want you to think 40 minimum, okay? 40 listings in the next 12 months minimum. So that's the knowledge I want you to have. We are surrounded by so much failure in the real estate industry, we don't even know what's possible. So I have a coaching student who ended his first year. At the beginning of last year, we were talking about the goal of doing 40 listings in his first 12 months in real estate. He was 1 week in the business. So he ended the year with, I think, about 120. So the minimum is 40. His maximum for that year was 120. We found out what it was. And if you looked at him, you would say, hey, if this guy can do it, I can do it. So please write this down. If anyone can, I can. There's nothing special about what he does. You know, my mentor and my coach in real estate was Floyd Wickman, greatest guy ever. He said, there's nothing special about special people. It's what they do that makes them special. So Zig Ziglar was a friend of his. You know, there was nothing special about Zig Ziglar except what he did. He was the right guy. He was the same on stage as he was off stage, just a regular, decent guy, hard worker, sales guy, motivational speaker guy. But if he can do it, you know, anybody can do it. There's nothing special about special people. It's what they do that makes them special. And then the fourth thing, awareness or knowledge that I want you to have is that I'm in control, not the customers. In other words, when somebody says, hey, I saw your house on Palm Lane, can you meet me over there and show me the house? No, I'm not going to get in my car and run around like a first responder with the lights and siren on. I'm in control, not the customers. Can I show you how I work? You know, I would do anything to help you, but we are going to do it my way. That's my motto. So I'm in control, not the customer. So if you're going to do 40 transactions a year in your first 12 months in real estate, or your next 12 months in real estate, or you're going to do 120 if you're already doing 40, then you have to understand that, let's say you're doing 20 per year and you want to do 40. Well, what do I have to give up to do 40 when I'm doing 20 now? What I have to give up is every single thing that got me 20. Because what it takes to do 40, you have to give up what got you 20. To do 120, you have to give up what got you 40. It's a whole different thing. That's the thing to remember. And you have to be in control. You cannot have the sellers be in control. So the next thing is the goal. What are the ingredients of the goal? Now, you've all been to goal-setting things and goal-setting exercise, and I think one of them is that you have to be able to imagine it. So visualized is, so my goal with my best friend Jeff was to buy Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and then ride across America. So we had to imagine it. Now, this is in a day when there were no cell phones. This is back when actually credit cards were not even that common. We are loser idiots who work the graveyard shift at a gas station, for goodness sakes. We're 20 years old. We're morons. So we think up all these things that other people would say, you can't do that. Are you crazy? What are you, nut? Like our parents said that. Our friends said, that's crazy. You're crazy. We thought, nah, I can imagine it. Yeah, well, it's doable, Now, of course, it was insane. It was stupid. It was a bad idea, but we did it. We didn't die miraculously. And although we did come close, we didn't end up going to jail in any of the estates we visited, but we did come close. But, when it was over, I look back on that. That was one of the best things I ever did in my entire life. The experiences that we had, the pictures we took, it was amazing. But we imagined it. So if you would just think it through, the doing 40 transactions, the doing listings only maybe, or the doing buyers only if that's your goal. You have to be able to manage it. Then you have to break it down into little tiny chunks. So you're not going to do 40. That's not the goal. The goal is to do, one listing a week. So if you're going to do one listing a week, how many are you going to have to go on? Well, you're going to have to go on 3 probably to get 1 and get it at 7% and keep 4, let's say. If you're going to have to go on 3, you're probably going to have to schedule 5 because 2 of them are going to cancel. So if you schedule 5, 2 cancel, you go on 3 and you get 1, and your goal is to do 40, well, then that's your goal. It's not 40, it's 5. 5 is the goal. Schedule 5 listing appointments each and every week. And I was talking to a guy about this. And by the way, if any of this makes sense to you and you happen to be earning less selling real estate than you wish you were, I'm talking to this guy today. He's earning less selling real estate than he wish he was. And you're open to the idea of having some help with that. If you'd like to learn more, you can always call me anytime. You can dial 480-385-8810. Why do we say dial? Nobody dials. It's press. You're going to press. 480-385-8810, toll free, day or night. And let's just see if you, in what you're trying to do and what we do, if it would even be a good fit. And I had a lady call me today. She's watched a bunch of videos. She says, hey, this makes sense, more sense than all these other coaches that she was watching videos from. She had called one of the other coaches, got very turned off by the way they treated her. So she calls me up. I'm nice to her. And, she's the right person for real estate. And, I love talking to realtors. Don't ever think you're bothering me. Don't email me. Don't text me. Always call me. But, she was nice on the phone and had no bad phone habits. And she's in Atlanta. And I just said, what's your average sales price? So we ascertained what her average sales price was going to be. I think it was $200,000. So every time she sells a house at $200,000, I'll just do a little math here because I have a calculator. I actually brought my calculator. 4% of $200,000 is $8,000. So her gross close commissions are going to be $8,000 every time she takes a listing. So that's a 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, entry-level home in Atlanta would sell for $2,000. All the other agents in Atlanta charge 5% or 4%. Because she's a fearless agent, she'll effortlessly be able to charge 7 and keep 4. And then if she does 40 of those in the year, that would be $320,000 gross close commissions. Usually about half of that goes to your write-offs and, gas in your car and all that. So $160,000 net taxable income would be a reasonable goal for her first 12 months because she's brand new in real estate. And I said, if I coach you and you do exactly what I tell you to do and you earn $160,000 over the next 12 months, would you be very happy? She said, I would be ecstatic. I said, okay, then if you're willing to not be a little customizer, learn 5 presentations, be very pure to the words I give you to say on the phone, and when you're face-to-face to people, get your schedule right, and, in other words, every day looks the same, which is what we're going to talk about here, then that would guarantee your income at really any level. So we're shooting for 40, but if you do 120, great, right? So she says, great, I'm going to do it. So, but now she's all in. She's committed. We committed to that goal, the 40, not the 40, but the 5, schedule 5. That's the goal. So if you can't afford coaching, but you wish you could, you can go to fearlessagent.com, watch our free webinar, the free test drive webinar. It's about 45 minutes long. Take lots of notes. Go to the video training page. And my guarantee to you is that the free training videos on my website will be insanely better coaching for free than you would pay any other coach in America any amount of money. And if you ever have a question, you can always call me because we want to help you for free so that you can afford us someday. So, and again, you can call me at 480-385-8810. So the guy I was talking to this morning, he's not scheduling 5 listing appointments a week. He's got kids. He's got life, all that's going on. And I said, look, if you had to for the next 3 months, call from 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., then eat dinner and call till 8 p.m. to make sure that the next 3 months after that, you didn't have to do that because you'd be completely booked with listing appointments. And if you had 10 listing appointments that you had to go on next week, you still got the kids. Would you be able to go, for $8,000 paycheck for each one? Yeah, he'd figure it out. You can hire a babysitter. His youngest kid was like 10. They're managing. They're at home starting fires on their own. You don't need to help them. No parental supervision. So keep the ingredients of your goal. Know what it is. Break it down into little tiny chunks. And then the other thing is, I don't know if accountability is the right word, but knowing what your priorities are. Okay, so some of you, God is a priority in your life. That's true for me. I go to church every Sunday. I have a little volunteer job I do there. So that's a priority in my life. So if you share a faith tradition like I do, that's going to be more important than your family because you don't want to screw that up. Then family is a priority. How many of you have a family or know somebody that's had a family or were a member of a family? Okay, so family. Then there's your business. And, like my wife, I said, honey, if the money quit coming in, would you still love me? She said, oh, yes, and I'd miss you. So sometimes the business has to come above the family. The famous sales trainer Tommy Hopkins once said, you can be out of balance in your business for a period of time or be out of balance in your life for a period of time to achieve a goal, but you can't do it long term. And then there's yourself. Now, 22 years ago, roughly. 22 years ago, I decided I was going to join a gym. Now, I have gone to the gym every day for 22 years, and except when I'm traveling or something like that. So if I'm in town, I go to the gym every day, and it's a little bit of me time. I'm not one of these guys that takes my phone into the gym. You're not going to see me doing that. I am the guy that goes to the gym with the ashtrays on the treadmill, so that's why I don't look like a workout. But I'm reading a book, sitting on a machine. But I do go. Okay, so that's the me time thing. So you got to have something for yourself. You've got to the business has to get done so you make money so you can do the things that you enjoy doing for yourself and for your family. And then if God is a priority, that would probably come first. So keep those things in mind. And then there's the basics, what I would call the basics. So the most basic, if the awareness that listings are the name of the game, is listing. Okay, get a listing. So how do I get a listing? I go on appointments, okay? It takes several listing appointments to get a listing. And then to get several listing appointments this week, I would have, let's say 5 scheduled, then I would have to be generating lots and lots and lots of prospects. And then to generate lots and lots of prospects, I'm going to have to be doing even more contacts. So what's the number of contacts it takes on average to book 5 listing appointments a week? Or what's the number of contacts it would take to schedule 1 listing appointment a week? So here's the number. Write this down. The number of contacts it takes to schedule 1 listing appointment, all of them. And you'll know after you did it. okay? That's when you'll know. So however many it takes is what it takes. Now, in your town, it would be different than in my town. In Omaha, Nebraska, it's going to be a lot easier, it's probably, than in Scottsdale, Arizona, because there's less competition. In San Diego, California, it's going to be more contacts to get a listing appointment than it would be in Burlington, Vermont, probably. So where there's more competition, more realtors per square inch, better weather, more golf, bigger town, it generally takes more. But it doesn't matter because the dollars per hour you earn would be equal in either town. And then the next thing I want to give you is just a simple business plan. So write these down: lead generation, sales presentation, negotiating, and systems. You've got to be a lean, mean lead generating machine. You've got to be generating lots and lots of leads per day. You've got to be giving killer sales presentations. What are those? That's listing, pricing, for sale by owner, buyer, and investor. And then also presenting offers. And then you've got to be negotiating those in a professional and caring way, not just so my guy wins, but so that everybody gets what they need out of the transaction. While the buyer is grossly overpaying for my listing, they're getting their favorite house because nobody else gets to live in it except them, and that's how it works in a perfect world. And then you've got to have all the systems in place to make sure that you're getting everything to happen. For example, if you're doing 20 a year and you want to go to doing 40, or you're doing 40 and you want to go to doing 120, then you need different systems. You need better systems. So would you need an assistant? You probably would need an assistant. So at Fearless Agent Coaching, we take you how you come. Everybody basically does the same thing in Fearless Agent Coaching. It's customized for you in this sense. We take you the way you come. Some people have skills that other people don't have. Some people have years of experience that other people don't have. It's interesting to me that the brand new agent, like the lady I talked to this morning in Atlanta, she's brand new in real estate. Her chances of doing 120 by the end of this year are much better than the agent who comes to me that did 20 last year, because she doesn't have her head full of a bunch of other coaching garbage. She's kind of a blank slate. She's willing to do exactly what I tell her to do. And I did ask her that. I said, would you be willing to do exactly what I tell you to do? And by the way, I'm not going to ask you to do anything complicated or hard. It's just learn 5 presentations at your own pace. Be comfortable calling me whenever you have a question, and get your schedule right so that every day looks the same, and just stay nice on the phone like she is. So that's the secret. It's never going to be more complicated than that. Once again, I just want to thank you for joining us today. You can please do visit us at fearlessagent.com. You can call me directly. If you're a real estate company owner, you can go to fearlessagentrecruiting.com. You can call me anytime at 480-385-8810. Please do review the podcast on iTunes. You can visit us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere we show up, at a Starbucks near you. It doesn't matter. Until next week, I want you to always have fun, because real estate is the most fun business of all. Always be humble, and most of all, be fearless. Thanks, gang.